Welcome to the history of movie theaters for Chicago and Cook County for 1910 to 1919. 1910. The Hamlin Avenue Theater opened on November 6. These theaters also opened in 1910. Here are the changes for 1910. 1911. These theaters opened in 1911. The White Front Theater closes. 1912. Kedzie adds annex screen. The first twin cinema in Chicagoland opened in July. These theaters also opened in 1912, with many more Nickelodeon-type theaters opening. The Senate 5 cents becomes the Wonderland Theater. The Cortlandt Theater closes. 1913. The Cosmopolitan Theater is opened by the Asher Brothers on September 6. The Oak Park Theater in Oak Park opened on October 20th. The Iris Theater opened on December 21st. The 20th Century at 4078 Prairie Avenue opens. The 20th Century Theater at 3538 West Roosevelt opens. The Paulina Theater opened in July. These theaters also opened in 1913. These theaters closed in 1913. 1914. In February, the Broadway Theater opens. The Clark Theater at the corner of Clark and Wilson opens on February 6. Lubliner and Trins Theaters opens the Crawford Theater on March 14. The Windsor Theater opened on May 9. The Fine Arts Theater starts to show movies on May 16. The Beach Theater opened on May 30th. The Shakespeare Theater opened in June. The Buckingham Theater opened on June 6. The Pickford Theater opened on July 4. The Biograph Theater opened on September 5. The Vitagraph Theater opened on September 12. The Kenmore Theater opened on December 29. These theaters also opened in 1914. The Ellis Theater closes. 1915. The Harper Theater opened on May 24th. The American Theater opened on August 23. The Asher's Lakeside Theater opened on September 4. The Strand Theater opened on October 15. The Bandbox Theater opened on October 22. These theaters also opened in 1915. The Acme Theater becomes the World Theater. These theaters closed in 1915. 1916. The Castle Theater opens on January 17. The Metro Theater opens on January 17. The Terminal Theater opens on January 17. The South Shore Theater opens on February 7. The Oakland Square Theater is opened by Lubliner and Trins on March 4. The Germania Theater opens on June 24. The Covent Garden Theater is opened by Lubliner and Trins on August 5. The West End Theater is opened by Lubliner and Trins on November 23. The Asher's Lane Court Theater opens on November 25. The Jackson Park Theater opens on November 29. The Michigan Theater opens on December 27. These theaters also opened in 1916. On June 24, the Amo Theater is renamed Vernon. These theaters closed in 1916. 1917. The Asher Brothers Metropolitan Theater opened on January 20th. The Rialto Theater by Jones, Linnick and Schaefer Theater opens on January 22nd. The Asher's Milford Theater opened on February 24th. The Asher's Chateau Theater opened on May 17th. The Howard Theater opened on September 1st. The Irving Theater opened on September 1st. On October 10th, the Central Park Theater is opened by Balaban and Katz Theaters as the first location for the chain. The Peerless Theater opens on October 10th. The Lubliner and Trins Madison Square Theater opened on November 7th. The Crystal Theater opened on November 8th. The Asher Brothers Adelphi Theater opened on November 10th. The Broadway Strand Theater opened on November 10th. The Marshall Square Theater opened on December 22nd. These theaters also opened in 1917. Here are the changes for 1917. These theaters closed in 1917. 1918. The Woods Theater is opened on March 11th. The Woodlawn Theater is opened on April 26th. The Playhouse Theater is opened on May 5th. The Pantheon Theater is opened on September 11th by Lubliner and Trins. The Riviera Theater is opened on October 2nd by Jones, Linick and Shafter. The Pershing Theater is opened on November 6th by Lubliner and Trins and later renamed Davis later. The Wilson Theater is opened on December 21st by Lubliner and Trins. The Randolph Theater is opened on December 23rd by Jones, Linick and Shafter. These theaters also opened in 1918. Here are the changes for 1918. These theaters closed in 1918. 1919. June 23rd. Air conditioning. The first theater in the world is installed at the Balaban and Katz Riviera. Lubliner and Trins opens the L&T Theater on March 1st. The People's Theater opened on March 1st. The State Lake Theater opened on March 17th. The Irving Park Theater opened on October 9th at 1835 Irving Park Boulevard. The Panorama Theater reopened on December 21st. It was the Pine Green Theater. These theaters also opened in 1919. Here are the changes for 1919. These theaters closed in 1919. Thanks for watching and remember to like and subscribe.